Hey all, good evening, good morning, um, and happy Sunday.
Yeah, hi Venkat. Good evening.
Let's give another minute before we get started to see if anyone else is available to join. I know this is a short notice, uh, but I'm happy that most of you were able to make it. Okay, we can get started. Today I wanted to discuss about the roles in specific, like what a data analyst does, what a data engineer does, what a data architect does, and how these roles communicate with each other. Before we get started with those topics, do you have anything to ask from our previous conversation that happened yesterday? Is there anything that you would like to ask and maybe get it clarified? Okay, I'll take it as a no.
Yeah, Venkat, this is the first, yesterday,
Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm not available to attend the class. So today is my first day, so attending the demo. I have few questions here, can I ask you after the session or we can go initially?
yeah. If you can ask it now, it's fine. If you would like to ask towards the end, that's also fine. I'm good either ways.
Okay. So basically, I have 5 years of experience in automation testing. So I have knowledge in Python and Selenium, Java,
Mhm.
little SQL as well. So, but I want to switch into data engineering. There is some a strong reason behind. So, especially for job stability, so most of the testing domains are replaced with some other AI tools, and even developers are playing the both roles.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking to switch to some other domain. So based on my suggestions I have been received, data engineering would be the best play for this. So could you help me with this?
Yeah, I mean, are you looking for some feedback on your current role versus the data engineer role, or
Exactly.
are you asking about how a data engineer generally works? How is it related with whatever
Yeah,
you used to do
exactly.
before?
Is it related to me? Do I face any challenges or something would be further? Even some suggested go for ETL testing, which is almost the same. So which data you can play both roles of a ETL tester and a data engineer. So based on the requirement, so even today data engineers should need some ETL testing also. So ELT testing. So I'm not sure, I have a bit confusion on this particular.
Yeah, actually, what happens is in a agile team, you will have ETL testers, ETL developers, data engineers, analysts, and some of the senior level architects and product owners. So, like somebody mentioned to you, definitely there is a need of ETL experts over there. You can explore that role as well. But to be honest, AI is also getting into these things wherein the data engineer itself is uh, taking so much of those analysis and ETL testing stuff as well. Because what's happening is they have prepared something called as data ops. You might have heard DevOps, you might have heard some other operational systems. Nowadays, what people are doing is they have started something called data ops. What is data ops means? The data engineers who are going to work on the data, right? They are also doing some stuff in the DevOps side. So generally the ETL testers, whosoever is going to prepare some test cases or something like that, the data ops engineers are only going to take care of those things also. So slowly that role is also fading, and slowly this job is also taken by the data engineers. And if you also look at the magnitude of these roles, data engineers versus ETL testers and ETL developers, today you might succeed with ETL tester or ETL developer, but soon after 3 years or 4 years down the line, again it will be merged into data specific roles. Because personally, I feel that going forward there will be only two roles in the data domain. One is data engineering and the other one is AI engineering. Okay, the AI engineers, machine learning engineers, AI automation testers, whosoever is working closely with AI, there will be one domain for them, and there will be one domain for data engineers. So data engineers are going to be completely working on the data, and AI engineers are going to uh, connect these AI with this data stuff, and that's how businesses are going to drive. That's my vision. And because you are already well versed with Python, Selenium, I think we can use it for some scraping in case if there is a requirement of extracting data. But to be honest, your Python experience will add value to the Spark, and that way you can get into data engineering. But it's your choice at the end of the day, and you could make a call. But in my opinion, at the moment, ETL developers, ETL testers will work based on what you are currently doing. But down the line, after 3 years or 2 years, there is going to be a challenge for those roles as well.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you. It's nice
Yeah.
information.
Okay. Good. Any other questions? Okay. We'll get started, guys. Let me share my screen. Cool. So, like we discussed yesterday towards the end of the day, that our next conversation is going to be about the roles in general. So, I was able to find this beautiful infograph wherein it was clearly explained how a data analyst works. So, I'm going to get started with data analyst first. If you generally think about an organization, right? Let's take one example of small organization. So that organization, let's say, is maintaining data in some two or three databases, and they are daily, they want to answer some business question. They have some questions about how their organization is working. Right? Like, let's say there is a e-commerce organization, right? And they want to understand how their sales are happening, how many customers are making orders, how many orders are being delivered, kind of. They have some business questions, how much profit we are making, how much discounts we are giving, right? They have so many questions like that. Imagine that there is a small organization with such questions. Now, what they are going to do is they are going to hire a person known as a data analyst, and they are going to ask this guy, hey, this is our data. This is where our data lives. Now you go ahead and gather some information from that data, and you try to prepare something visually so we can understand our business questions, right? So this guy is going to go deep into the systems where the data lives, and he or she is going to extract that information, clean it for them, so that he or she could answer the business questions, right? And that is going to be based on an ad hoc basis. Ad hoc basis means they will ask a question, and that's when this guy is going to extract the data. Unless until they have some questions, this guy is not going to do the analysis. Okay, so that is going to be ad hoc basis, and whenever they are going to do the analysis, right, they will most probably use tools like Excel or some Python pandas data frames, and they are going to prepare the reports. Reports as in something is a Excel report that is that is considered as a visualization, or a Python based visualization that they are going to do in general. Okay, they do not have any specific software or anything like that to visualize and present it, and they are going to storytell. They are going to explain the answers like, okay, in this quarter you have made this much of profit. In this year, you have sold these many products. In this month, you have delivered like X number of products to the customers, and they are going to answer all those business questions, right? That is how a data analyst works in general. Whenever there are business questions asked by the managers or somebody from the stakeholders, they are going to query or extract the data or gather the data, right? And this works in a small organization. This works very well in small organizations. Now imagine that this whole requirement is scaled. Okay, when I say scale, that means the organization now has grown into some billion-dollar company like Amazon or Flipkart. Now what happens is, because the company has grown enormously, now the data stored in the organization will also increase. The volume of the data is going to increase, and the number of sources towards in the source system are also going to increase, right? They are going to store different types of data in different places. Now what happens is, suddenly the job of a data analyst becomes tough, because he has to gather data from multiple various sources. Okay, and then he has to prepare some Excel reports, and there is a high chance that due to the volume of data, the Excel reports may not help, right? Also, the questions that are being asked by the business, the report that the analyst is going to generate may also not work, because the extraction, the Excel report preparation, and the report, all of this process looks like a stale information. Okay, it's not something that is scalable. So what they are going to do is, they are going to hire another person in this process known as data architect. Okay, because this information is stale, they don't want to go with this type of approach when the volume is huge. So what they will do, they'll hire some other person called data architect. Okay, now here if you see, they are going to, when they hire data architect, right? Now what this data architect does is, he is going to design a system. Okay, he is going to design a system wherein they are going to integrate all of the sources that we require in three different layers, like you see here, right? Bronze, silver, gold. What they are going to do is, that person is going to design a pipeline, design a solution to the problem, and then they are going to prepare this three-layer architecture wherein they will connect all the sources that we have. And what they are going to do is, the data architect is going to assign this whole architecture, whatever they have designed, right? They are going to assign preparing the pipeline of this whole architecture to another person called data engineer. So what happens is, the data architect is going to design this pipeline, and it is given to a data engineer. Now, this data engineer is responsible for executing the whole design. It's like UI UX team, right? Whenever a UX team designs an application, they are going to share that application with developers, and developers are going to actually code, right? So similarly here, architect is going to prepare that blueprint. They are going to give you the design. These are the sources. This is how you have to prepare the pipeline. This is how the data movement happens. And then data engineer is going to prepare that. So in general, in the industry, the medallion or the three-layer architecture that you see here is standard. However, there are certain organizations where the three-layer architecture might become four. Okay, now after gold, you may see platinum also. Okay, and the names of this architecture will also change. It's not always bronze, silver, gold. Sometimes it will be bronze here, sometimes it will be landing. Okay, sometimes it will be raw. Okay, silver sometimes could be transform layer, right? Or enrich layer. They will name it differently, but the architecture stays same. Okay. So what data engineer is going to do? He is going to come up with a pipeline. Pipeline is going to have all the information of these sources, right? And what they are going to do using that pipeline, they are going to connect those sources with this bronze layer first. Okay. So in the bronze layer, all of this information will be gathered and put it over there as raw format. In the raw format, they will not touch that data. Okay, whatever data you have in the multiple source systems, that all of that data will be flowing into this bronze layer as the raw data, untouched data. Now, from this bronze layer, they will move this data to silver, and within the silver layer, they are going to clean this data. Okay, clean this data based on business requirements. We talked about business requirements during the start, right? The analyst is going to get some business questions. So based on that business questions, in the silver layer, they are going to clean that data. When I say clean, maybe for example, you can think of removing duplicate data or handling the missing values. Let's say some customers are missing name or email address or phone number, right? Some products are not uh, tagged properly. Some of the information is missing. So all of that will be cleaned. Okay. So let's say there is invalid number in the amount column. Okay. So that number will be converted into zero. So your original visualization will not corrupt, right? The bad data will be cleaned here. Now, then they are going to push this data into a model. Model means we'll talk about model in our future classes, but for now, just think it as a design of how your data should be looking at the target. Okay, so when the data moves to gold layer and when the data is present in gold layer, this data will be consumed by our data analyst. Okay. Now this gold layer data will be used by our data analyst, and that person is going to prepare the report that we have discussed before, and he is going to present it to the stakeholders, whosoever is asking the business questions. Okay. That way it has become easier for the analyst to answer business level questions because the data movement has been prepared in a way that it is automated. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have this system, the analyst would have to extract the data every single time in all of these sources that you see at the left side, right? If assume that this system doesn't exist, so what analyst has to do is he has to query or gather this information every single time whenever they were asking questions, right? Because he has to present that data, he has to present the report with the latest data. So it would have become so tough for this analyst to go and talk to all of these sources, right? So that's why the architect and engineer have come into picture. So any questions so far? Okay. Um, I'll take it as a no. So now we have understood the roles and responsibilities of these guys. Now let's take a look at what happens in the industry in general, right? So if you see this screenshot, like I said, the data system has been built by the engineer and architect. Now what happens is for the analyst, right? Whenever they have questions, the stakeholders or the business level higher teams like product owners, whenever they have certain questions on the data, the analyst would respond with an ad hoc request, right? However, it is very difficult for analysts to look after so many reports, right? He could come up with a single report or some X number of reports based on the questions that were asked. But it would be difficult for analysts to present reports to multiple teams, right? If let's say there are so many teams that are depending on this data, whatever the gold layer data you have, right? Let's say there are so many teams that are looking for this data with so many different purposes, right? Let's say there is a discount team who want to provide discounts based on customer transactions. Whosoever is purchasing more, they want to offer more discounts. Let's say there is payment team who want to validate the payments, whether the payment is successful or not. Then only they will pass this data to logistics so that order could be delivered. Right. Similarly, the requirements are fragmented in the target side. There are so many small teams that are looking for this data. So what happens is it would be too difficult for data analysts to manually write some SQL on this gold layer and prepare reports for those individual teams. That's why what they will do is they are going to hire someone as a BI developer or BI analyst who is going to continuously talk to this gold data through a server. What they will do is they will prepare a application where they will create a dashboard. Dashboards now here means Power BI or Tableau dashboards, wherein the data will be directly connected with this gold layer, and they will have to just schedule it, right? So whenever you want to present this, let's say the stakeholders or business teams, they want to see this dashboard getting updated like every day or based on certain frequency, like every 1 hour, every 10 hours, right? So what the developer is going to do is they are going to prepare a platform. Okay, within that platform, they are going to embed all of these dashboards. So whenever the information has to be populated for respective teams, accordingly, the dashboard will be frequently updated and modified. So this is going to be a automated connection between the visualization and your data in the gold layer, right? That is where the BI developer or BI analyst are going to shine. Okay, so this is how the entire flow works, guys. So that's the whole story about each and individual roles. And here, whatever we are seeing as part of bronze, silver, and gold, we are going to implement all these in our course. We are going to see what a bronze layer has, what a silver has, what a gold has, and also in our course, if you remember, we have this in yesterday we have seen the course structure also. In our first week only, we are going to design a OLAP model. We talked about OLAP model, right? That model we are going to prepare as a project, as our second project. And in that second project, you are going to design a model that resembles the gold layer. Okay. Though we are not talking about gold layer in that week, we will definitely prepare a model that will be directly used in the gold layer. Okay. So the OLAP model that you see in the course in week two, in week one, day two, okay, which is next Sunday, most probably, you are going to work on this project wherein you are going to prepare the model yourself, right? So, any questions that you want to ask on the roles?
So, so in the role, eventually, data analyst will become now BA, kind of similar thing.
Could you please come again? I
No,
heard.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
try to understand the role actually. So now the data analyst role become as a BA, similar to the BA role, business analyst.
Yes.
Because
So
now all
data
the job,
analyst.
yeah.
Mhm.
So go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct because the analyst is going to help if there is ad hoc request, right? If
Hmm.
somebody wants to quickly understand what's happening, then only they will be available to assist. But otherwise, they are not available when the system scale, when there is huge data, when there is huge requirement of data flows between multiple systems, and you need real-time visualizations which are connected to the data, and that is very difficult for the analyst. Okay, that's where the
Hmm.
BI team is going to shine.
Okay.
Cool. Any
So is
other
there
question?
any? Yeah, I heard about full stack data engineer. So what it means?
That's a new term for me. Even I am not aware of full stack data engineer. Maybe the expectation is to perform end-to-end activities as a data engineer. I don't know what full stack means because that
Actually,
generally is used
expecting
towards
both.
developers.
They're expecting like an analyst, and so again they should need some BI tools as well. So uh, th- this is the
Yeah.
kind of expectation.
Yeah, so that comes under end to end. So what they are expecting is right from the data ingestion till the visualization, right? So visualization means here you see the gold layer, right? Now this gold layer, if you see there is a model here. Now some companies what they do is they will say we don't want any model. We directly want a report here, visualization report. Okay, so instead of we preparing a model and then using the dashboard for business intelligence team, what we will do is as a data engineer, we will directly use this gold data and we will come up with a visualization ourselves. Okay, we will create some views, and on top of that views, we can directly connect our Power BI or Tableau to Databricks. Okay, that way we can also come up with visualization reports ourselves. But in general, when the MNC works, right, in the MNCs, so far they are going to have separate BI team because they understand the back end of this entire Power BI system better. We can do some small scale Power BI dashboards, but it is expected that there is a BI team who is going to take care of that. I think they are talking about this role wherein you can also create the visualizations yourself. We do have that option also in the gold layer itself. We are going to do it. Maybe that is related to full stack, but otherwise, I'm really not sure why they are saying full stack.
Yeah, yes, the same I think.
Yeah, so it is possible. We also have, if you see the course towards the end, the last project that you are going to work is you are going to prepare the dashboard. Okay, but the challenge is that that dashboard is not going to be at a scale wherein the BI, I mean, you cannot compare that with what BI team does in general. That's what I'm trying to say. They truly understand the entire requirements and they will truly translate everything well. But as a data engineer, sometimes it is expected that we create some metrics that can quickly help them. And if you ask me, there are certain requirements wherein the data should be fed into a vector database. So now what happens is your BI team is not going to come here. Okay, this BI data analyst, they both are gone. Now there is data science team. Okay, now there is data science team. Now imagine this, right? Now let's say you have opened Amazon today. You have searched for a product, let's say laptop. Okay, now you have gone through Mac laptop, Apple laptop, and so many other brands, Samsung or whatever. Now what happens tomorrow when you or tomorrow, let's forget tomorrow, after like few hours or few minutes, when you open Amazon app again, it will show everything, right? It will highlight you, it will give you suggestions, and it will also show what you have previously searched for. So what it will do, it will remember your search and it will start giving you suggestions also. Okay, like you might like, there is something, right, you might like. So all of that is going to happen because of this ML team. So what they are going to do is they are going to take this, consume this gold data. Okay, and immediately that data is going to be fed into a model that is going to predict that, okay, because you have searched for laptops, maybe you will like these items, right? So the end user is going to change. Okay, sometimes because the data engineering role itself is so flexible that the end users are going to change. Okay, here sometimes you will see data science team, data analyst team, where the data is directly consumed by the vector databases, or data science team, ML engineers are going to tell you where you have to upload this data, and then you are going to prepare the data gold layer accordingly. So the gold layer is always dependent on the end goal. Why are we extracting this data? What is the purpose? The purpose is going to come from your end users. Okay, they are going to define the purpose, and accordingly this gold layer will be prepared. Okay, so that is also a perspective. What other questions we have?
So what is the data scientist like, as you mentioned earlier, like in further usually there is only two roles will remain. So one is data engineering and other is
Yeah.
AI engineer. So does data scientist also going to merge with AI or data engineering?
Yes, I personally feel, this is again my personal opinion, that data scientist and ML, AI, whatever artificial intelligence teams are there, right? They are all going to merge, and there will be only one team called AI engineers. Recently, one of my uh, friend has joined in a role as AI engineer. So we had conversations, and that's when I realized, okay, maybe this is going to be the future because see, data scientist role demands preparing the models from scratch. That's where they are good at, right? They have learned statistics, machine learning algorithms, and so much of back end stuff of AI. But today, what is happening is nobody is ready to understand that backend stuff. Nobody needs that backend stuff. You are able to buy the models ready made, right? The LLM models are available for a less price, or not less price maybe, but they are pretty much easily available and everybody can actually use them directly, right? Even in the organizations, the growth of these LLMs were huge, and that has reduced the entire scope of data scientists. Why we have to pay so much to prepare our own machine learning algorithm or a prediction model when we have so many models already available? And those models are pre-trained on so many things, right? If I can make that model reliable, secure, and private to my organization, I have done everything that a data scientist will do. I don't need a data scientist. I just have to ensure that whatever model I am purchasing is going to preserve my data, is going to secure my data. That's it. AI is only dangerous when your data is visible to outside your organization. If I can make a contract that will help me with securing my data to only my organization, then I am good with data scientist. I don't need a data scientist, right? Because uh, in the worst case, the LLMs, whatever models we prepare or whatever we purchase, right? Those models can hallucinate. Okay. Sometimes when you ask a question that they don't know, they will hallucinate and they will think that they know the answer and they will respond. Most probably models never answer that I don't know, right? So most times they will try to answer something or the other. They will give you wrong answer sometimes, and you will think that okay, maybe my prompt is bad. So sometimes there are certain scenarios where the models will fail, but I personally feel that data scientist is not needed for the future because you need not prepare a model from the scratch. You already have everything ready, and due to this RAG, retrieval augmented generation and GPT transformers, uh, you can directly feed your data to a model. You need not have to uh, prepare. Earlier, what used to happen, we used to split the file into two parts, test and train, 80% of 80% and 20%. And we used to train the data first. We used to then we used to feed some of our data to that model. We used to train it well, and then we used to ask so many questions, tune it, right? Now, all you need to do is you need to understand natural language. If you can communicate, if you can write some good prompts, you can. You are yourself a data scientist. You need not have somebody hired as a data science team. So, I know this is a lengthy answer, but um, the answer is I feel with the rise of AI, there is no need for someone who understands the backend.
I hear
So
that algorithms also is merging with some other algorithm to understand more better. So is it true?
y- yeah, to some extent it is correct. So what they are doing is they are coming up with something called MCP servers. Okay. So what they are trying to do is now they are looking at agentic AIs, right? Which earlier AI used to, if we go little back, when you have this data scientist roles like 4 5 years back, what used to happen is that person used to train the model, that person used to prepare the model based on some algorithm. He used to train your whatever data you provide, right? He used to train that model based on this data, and he used to give that model to the team. To like 1 or 2 years ago, what happened is with the rise of this Gen AI, what happened is now you are directly conversating, sending your data to this AI model, and you are directly asking a query. You are not even training that model. Whatever data you feed, right? When you send the query itself, there are some algorithms inside, like cosine, similar algorithms, what they will do is they will closely match with whatever data it is available in the model, and they will pick that data, they will pick your prompt, and they are going to send it to the transformer. So that is going to predict and send it back to this as a response. Now they are coming up with agentic AIs. Now what agentic AIs are going to do? They are going to actually work on the task. Now with the rise of agentic AIs, they have prepared something called MCP server, which is going to communicate two agentic AI bots within themselves. There is no human interaction needed. So whatever algorithms you need, whatever authorization you need, whatever authentication you need, they will communicate among themselves, and they are going to do the task for you. Okay, you can Google it later also. The term is called MCP server. Okay, even we have it in Databricks. So that way they are eliminating the thinking about what algorithms we need to follow or all of that. Agentic AI is going to decide everything by itself, and it is going to communicate with another agentic AI through these MCP servers. So that's the story today. So that is another reason why I am thinking there will be AI engineers tomorrow and not data scientists. Good question. So what other questions you have? I mean, I'm just sharing my knowledge with you guys. I'm not trying to influence or say something bad. It's just the way that is happening in my organization, at least that uh, I don't see analysts. I only see BI teams and data engineering teams. So that is another reason why I don't recommend going into data analyst roles in the future. Even if you learn cloud, right, there are some institutions or some places where they recommend, if you learn cloud platform and you become data analyst, you will shine. Uh, I personally don't feel that is the case based on my experience. So if you really want to visualize the data, communicate on the data, BI teams or something that is close to business intelligence would make sense, because there are some companies like Deloitte and other consulting companies where they'll have lot more BI teams. Okay, so that's the story. Any other questions on what we discussed
So,
so far? Mm-hmm.
yeah. What is the like mostly in real time for data engineering? Like, so from where we get the source data? Like, so is it mostly from the database or it would be from Excel, CSV, or multiple? So, what is the major kind of data most of the companies they used to get?
Yeah, that's a broad question to be honest, but it entirely depends on the end user. Like I said before, data will be present in so many systems. If you generally talk about the system design of an organization, right? So what happens in the organization? They will have structured data, unstructured data. They will store the credentials somewhere. They will store your customer information somewhere. They'll store your logs somewhere. We call it as clickstream logs. So in Amazon, when you click on add to cart, right? That is a click event. Okay, when you click on add to cart, immediately a record is generated in the backend in a log file. Okay, in a log file that so and so user, like ABC user, has clicked on add to cart for this product. Okay, there will be a timestamp, and that log file is stored in some ADLS or S3 bucket, whichever cloud they are using, right? Similarly, when you make a payment, right, that payment information is going to sit in some database. Okay, if your payment is cancelled or success, how much paid, whatever, if you have applied any coupon, all of that information is going to sit in some place. Now, once the payment is succeeded, the logistics has to be informed, right? That information is going to sit in some other place within the organization. So the data is fragmented, and the to answer your question, There is no single source for any organization. It will be mostly database. It could be a database in cloud or database in the on premises. Okay, we will talk about on premises and cloud in our future sessions. Then it will be through APIs sometimes, and it will be through log files. Log files means it will be text files, .txt files. Most probably it will be .txt files or JSON files. Okay. Excel
Yeah.
CSV, Excel is not used at all because the volume is huge. You have to also take volume into consideration because in big data, we have a concept called three V's. Okay. We'll talk about that at later point of time. But the definition of big data is when you have a huge volume, when you have a huge velocity and variety. Okay. These three terms are going to define big data. So because you have a huge volume, Excel is going to straightforward. It will come out of that race. There will be CSV data, but what happens is there will be multiple CSV files. Like sometimes it will be each CSV file will have 500 or 700 MB of data. Like that, you will have some 1,000 files or 500 files. Okay. So flat files are also going to come, and it entirely depends on your end users. So they have to tell you what they require, and based on that requirement, your architect is going to decide how many sources we have, how much of connections we have to establish, how we are going to establish a connection to those sources. Okay, let's say you have to establish connection to a database, file storage where CSV files are there, and a API. So data architect is going to design that pipeline saying that, okay, you connect to the database using these credentials. You need some credentials also, right? All of that is given by the architect. They are going to have a discussion with you that, okay, at this time, you have to gather this information using these credentials. Everything will be recorded, and then they are going to give you that information. Now there will be some conversations happening around. There will be some brainstorm sessions happening around. Okay, if I have these many sources, you are going to ask certain questions to the product owner and data architect because you have to build the system, right? So you have to ask certain questions. Okay, what is the frequency, for example? So because I have APIs, I have CSV files, I have database, and all three will be updated at different times, right? Not a record is not going to sit in all three at once. So what is the frequency? Now they are going to tell you, from database you do it every day, from CSV files you do it only when a CSV file is uploaded. Okay. From APIs, you do it once in a week or once in a month because there will be very less data that is stored in the APIs, let's say, for example. So the frequency is different from all these three sources. So you have to design a pipeline in a way that that pipeline will talk to database every day. That pipeline will talk to CSV file storage whenever a file is uploaded. Okay. Similarly, for APIs, whenever you trigger it on demand. So that's
Can we
how
consider
the
like this? Yeah, can we consider like as the showing as you're presenting an image? So it is having source data from multiple sources. So
Mhm.
all those multiple data are going to store in particular a single storage, and from there the next whatever the ingestion, all these can be happen. Can
Yes,
we? Okay.
yes, that layer is known as bronze layer.
Okay, so all the data is going to store in a bronze layer, which is unstructured. Like there is no particular structure way we call it as. Is it?
Yes, it is in raw format. Okay,
Okay.
it is in raw format. So if your data is coming from API, it will sit in bronze layer as a JSON file because API generally stores in JSON format. Correct. If
Okay.
it is a CSV file, it will be in CSV file. So whatever raw formats you have, that is going to come and sit in bronze layer. If you have data coming from databases, then you are going to convert it into a file format, which we are going to talk it at. I think you will have this discussion around week 7 or week 6, wherein we will talk about how the database is going to send the data to this bronze layer. See, bronze layer is a file format layer. This is a data lake.
Uh, yeah, one more thing, like as we get data from multiple sources,
Mm-hmm.
it would be from multiple formats, right? So for the next process, all going to be in a single format, or they will continue as in multiple way?
That's a great question. So we are going to keep all of those in a single format
Okay, is it
because
Parquet?
yeah, it will be discussed at that point of time. Right now, you can assume it as Parquet, but even after Parquet, we have some other advanced level formats. And like because the reason I want to highlight the reason here, why? Because the data could be present across multiple sources, but the destination is always one. All the data is going to be consumed to by in one format towards the end, and that is going to be your SQL tables. Okay. Unless there is data science team or AI team looking for data in another format, it will always be in SQL towards the end in the gold layer. Okay. So it will be in tables. That's what I wanted to say. Because the data towards the end is going to be in tables, we are going to put everything in a unified format. That is also the USP of data engineers because they take any level, any format of data, and they are capable enough to convert that different formats of data into one single format that is readily consumed by the BI teams because SQL is a universal language that is accepted by BI teams or the analyst teams or anybody. So when we give them SQL tables, it will be very easy for them to write simple queries because they are already good with SQL. Right? If I give it in any other file formats like Parquet, for example, it will be very tough for them to read the data only. So that's why in the gold layer, it will always be SQL. But we will talk about how these file formats will be converted to SQL tables and all of that as we progress in the course. Good
What
question.
about real-time data? As it is source data, might the data is used to get store somewhere, then we going to pull it to bronze data. But if you see, there is some real-time data, like what we say in Kafka and some other where we get stream data. So for this, SQL is not. Is it suitable SQL, or we go for no SQL?
Yeah, again, like I said, it depends on the frequency that your architect is going to decide. So let's say there is a database, okay, that gets updated every single minute or every 5 minutes. Let's say there are so many writes happening to this database. So because the frequency is high, okay, the velocity is high. Now we have to prepare pipeline that will consume this data in a real time. Okay, so what we will do is we will create a event trigger. We call it as event trigger. So what happens is whenever a event happens, whenever a write event happens in this database, automatically the pipeline will be triggered and the data is fed into our layers. Okay. So right now,
Yeah.
I want you to understand it this way. But when we actually go to Kafka and all those topics, you will see it yourself how that data is consumed. And definitely in our project, we are not going to use the database. We are going to use the database as well towards the end. But for the Kafka project, we are going to use the files. Okay, we will ingest the files through Kafka, and at that point of time, you will see how the data is flowing and how the pipeline is triggered and how that uh, Kafka data is serialized and deserialized into different formats. Okay, so what I want to tell you is ignore the file formats because they are going to change. Okay, they are going to change for every single project that you are going to work in future. The file formats are not going to be same. Think like how you can integrate irrespective of whatever format you have, you should be ready to integrate that. Okay. So you just have to think about data, how frequently it is getting updated, what is the volume of the data, how many times I have to ingest that data to the bronze layer. So you have to ask such questions or think about such questions in the design level. Okay. Um, the source will be changing it will not be like this also. There will be so many databases. Sometimes there will be 100 or 50 databases. Okay. So and it will be very tough to think about format level, file format level. But like I said, we are going to do all of this together. as we go through in this course. So no
How much
worries.
are they providing?
Uh-huh.
So, how much do we need any prerequisites of SQL and Python, or everything will be uh, discussed on the part of course?
Yeah, so SQL, basics of SQL is a prerequisite. If you already know Python, that is good. But Python, we can talk about Python in our course. That is there. But SQL basics is something that I am expecting because uh, when you are moving into data roles, I believe you might have already listened to some other concepts outside wherein they have talked about some SQL, or even if you have started it yourself, you will start with SQL in general. So I'm assuming that you all have some understanding in SQL, like basic DML, DDL commands, how a database is created, how table is created, how you can write some select queries on that table, how to create a table, kind of things. Because if I start teaching from basics, I cannot teach advanced topics. Our course is going to expand like anything because SQL is huge subject, right? However, I have a dedicated session on the advanced topics of SQL. Okay. Um, if you are coming up with basics of SQL, it will be really comfortable for you to think about the advanced level topics, or learn advanced level topics. But even if you are not ready with basics of SQL today, you need not worry, because what we are going to do is we are going to get started with fundamentals of data, and then fundamentals of Azure, and then Azure services like Azure SQL. At that time, by the time we reach Azure SQL, I am expecting you to come up with some basics of SQL. So you still have time. I think you have 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now to brush up some SQL skills by yourself. Uh, Basics of SQL can be learned anywhere, so I think you will find enough resources as well. So that is the
So,
prerequisite.
how depth it is, it would be up to joins, or more than that, Windows functions, all these we required here.
No, if you can write select queries, that is enough. Select queries, group by, basic joins, that is enough. Window functions, CTEs are present in this course. That those will be discussed here only in this course.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, like if I talk about order of the query, you can learn create, insert, DML, DDL commands, and then in the select query, select from, where, group by, order by, um, and joins. That is enough. I don't want you to learn so much of SQL, but that is enough. And then we'll talk about CTE, subqueries, analytic functions, window functions, and we even have stored procedures, and we also have a dedicated project. Okay, um, that is going to be entirely focused on your SQL. So we have it, so no problem.
So what about Python? Do we need up to hoops? Do we require hoops here? No, right?
No,
I think.
no.
Okay.
So what happens is when we reach towards a Spark, right? Spark is available in Java, in Python, in Scala, and in SQL. Okay, so Spark by default gives you this four versions. So you have to pick one. What people do is, people who are coming from SQL background, they are going to prefer SQL, Spark SQL. So they will write SQL queries directly on Spark. People who are well versed with Python, they prefer Python version of Spark. So when you prefer Python version of Spark, that is when it is expected that you learn Python, that too from a basic perspective. So what you have to learn is how to define a variable, how a function is defined, and how a function is called, how pandas, if you know pandas library, there is a pandas library that usually talks to your data. So if you have a CSV file and you want to clean it, you want to process it, you can explore the pandas library. So if you can learn these things, and if you understand how collections, there are four collections or four data structures inbuilt, like list, tuple, dictionary, and set. So these are some of the things that you have to learn. And for loops, if conditions, right? The basics of Python, a beginner level of Python is required because sometimes you cannot do everything in SQL. Sometimes you have to depend on Python. At that point of time, this Python will be used. You don't have to learn the intermediate level of Python like OOPS or maybe some decorators or some context managers and data structures and algorithms. Those are not needed. Okay. And like I said, if you see here in the gold layer, this is going to be SQL, right? I told about that. So this is another reason why the Python is not focused a lot. If even if you have to use Python, right, you are going to use it here in the silver layer. Okay, so your majority of your SQL skills and Python skills are used here because bronze is untouched. Silver is going to be area where you start using consuming this data and cleaning the data. So this is where you will most probably use the Python and SQL, and you have a choice here. Okay, so that is fine. Cool. What other questions do you have? Guys, please ask if you want to understand anything. No question is a bad question. I am happy to answer. Even if you would like to explore other things outside, it's okay to ask because we are meeting here and we are talking about data engineering in general. So you can ask any random question. That's fine.
So what is the major the cloud in demand in market today? Like so usually some used to talk about GCP, about AWS and about Azure. So what is the major on demand cloud most of the companies using?
Yes. So the market leader is AWS. Okay. There is no second thought about that. Market leader is AWS. So if I have to, if let's say there are 100 organizations using this cloud, then I would say around 40 clients are using AWS and no, I would say 50 and then 40 for Azure, not 40, around, like let's take 40% and then 30% and then some whatever remaining 30% to GCP and other cloud platforms. Like you have Oracle Cloud Platform, you have some other Cloudera. There are so many other cloud platforms as well. So uh, leader is AWS for sure. But in the Azure, what's happening is Azure is emerging. It is evolving and it is emerging, and it is expected that down the line, like in next to 3 years or 4 years, Azure is going to shine and Azure is going to retain their clients along with converting the AWS clients into the Azure ecosystem. The reason is AWS depends a lot on integrations. Okay. Azure has built-in integrations for so many things. Let's say you want to work with AI. Azure has integrations. You want to work with Databricks. Azure has direct integration with Databricks. You want to uh, visualize something. Azure has integration with Power BI. You want to integrate, let's say, some uh, your on-premises systems. Again, Azure has integrations. So Azure even has a direct integration with OpenAI. So there are a lot of integrations and there is a huge ecosystem built by Microsoft, which will attract clients, is what I am assuming. And the other thing is AWS is a bit more technical. I mean, their services, right? If you talk about S3 or Athena or EMR or any other service, right? They have a steep learning curve. They do not end after certain point. You have to learn, and learn. They have so much of depth. Now that is going against the ease of doing everything. If you see the future is like everybody should be ready to do anything easily with a matter of clicks. That's why people are going towards AI. What I meant to say is the future is about using low code or no code, right? Even if you do certain things in future, the expectation is you just have to write a prompt, or you just have to talk in some natural language, and everything happens in the background with low code or no code. Even if you want to review certain things that AI does, it will be very minimal in future. But AWS is not ready for these changes. What AWS is doing is they are still going with their own methodology, that okay, we have these services, this is what we are going to go ahead with the organizations. So I don't know if you are available yesterday, but yesterday there was in the audience there was a person who was working as AWS and GCP both in the current organization, and she is exploring the Azure Data Engineering courses. So she joined our introductory class yesterday, and she was talking about that experience that I have already worked on AWS and GCP, but I am exploring Azure data engineer roles. Why? Because uh, the industry is moving towards low code and no code. That is the main advantage of Azure. Azure services have most of the services have low code or no code. So that's the reason I am currently highlighting this Azure. And that's the reason, even though AWS is market leader today, I feel that going forward, Azure is going to become the market leader, and AWS is going to become the second uh, leader. Okay.
Suppose if after completion of this course or something, if something is required for the as per the company need, they might require to work on GCP or AWS. We able to do it, right? Like the basic thing is the common thing here is only the SQL and PySpark, right? So most of uh, the flow is same in all the cloud, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm reading the chat here. Kritika says, as per my opinion, the models are different as per customer needs. That's how it used in. Okay, cool. So the gold or model designed or created as per the end user, like customer. So every end user request will have separate model in gold then. So Syed, you are partially correct. So what happens is, in the gold layer, we create models that are dependent on the end users. And what we do is we are going to create some views. Okay. So what happens is, whenever there is a requirement, let's say when we prepare the models, right? On top of that models, we will prepare some views, SQL views, and we give it to that user. If the user, let's say, is changing, let's say this data is consumed by, let's say, three people. One is payments team, one is logistic team, and one is the actual sales team. So what we will do is we will prepare the model keeping all these three consumers in mind. We will derive a standard logic, and we will prepare the models as a standard. Now what we will do is, for payments team, we are going to create separate views, and we are going to give those views access to the payments team. For a logistic team, again we will use separate views, and we will give those views access to logistic team. For let's say, what else was the third team? There was third team, right? Sales team. So we will prepare again views on top of this model, and we will give the access to sales team. So sales team is going to look at sales data. Um, Payments team is going to look at payments information, and logistics is going to look at logistic information. And whenever we complete our pipelines, right? Whenever the pipelines are going to run again, these teams are going to see the data based on the updates in their view, because what view does is it is going to have a query. That query is run every single time we update the pipeline. So they will just run the query, and their dashboard will be updated. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just gonna ask you. So every request has isolated views, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we will give them the view access, and the
Hmm.
model is prepared in keeping mind for all these three users.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So we are uh, past the time, guys. So our next conversation is going to be on 10th of January. It's on Saturday, next Saturday, uh, because this is a weekend batch, like I discussed yesterday, and it will be from 7 p.m. IST to 9 p.m. IST. And for other details, please reach out to Isha team. Let me share the details. I have shared it yesterday, but I'll also share it today in the chat here. So, one second. Yes, so this is the mobile number and the email ID. This is also the course structure. I'm not sure if you have this link with you or not. I'm sharing it again. So you can bookmark it or you can explore the course details. That's what we are going to do starting from next week. And then from there we are going to move towards our projects. Okay. So um, the learning style would be same like we have today. I'm going to explain the concepts either with infographics or with some notepad excels, and I'll explain how each topic is going to work, and then wherever the demo is required, I am going to present it to you. And the project also we are going to do it together in the class, and after the class you can explore that recordings by yourself if you want to continue or doing it again. Also, I'm going to share the project material with you. Like if I have prepared a project today, I'll share the project documentation with you, and you can play around with that at later point of time also. And there are some bonus things that we are doing with this course. So yesterday I have discussed that. Again, I'm just reiterating. The first bonus is Kahoot sessions. So we are going to organize quiz sessions every single advanced topics, whatever topics we have in the advanced level. All those topics will have Kahoot sessions wherein you will be tested against those topics in the weekdays. Okay, because in the weekends we'll cover the course. In the weekdays, you will be given some time to attempt those quiz, and based on your performance in that quiz, you will be able to measure your understanding on these topics. Then we will also share some ebooks with you. We have some premium ebooks like in Amazon, you have around 2000 or 2500. For example, Fundamentals of Data Engineering, Spark, the definitive guide. You can explore those books. So we will share that ebooks. Other than that, we are going to have on-demand uh, doubt clearing sessions during weekdays, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever we all have some time, based on the majority audience uh, poll. We'll send a poll, and based on the majority of the audience, in case if you want to revisit any topic and gain more knowledge, we are going to cover that in our on-demand doubt clearing sessions. Right. So these are some of the bonuses that we are going to give. Other than that, we have 15 projects in the entire course. I have talked about it yesterday about some of the projects. So out of 15 projects, at least 8 to 10 projects are industry level, and remaining 5 projects are for your understanding, for your own understanding. Okay, so there is a lot that is covered. There will be certain assignments given to you, so that you could actually do the assignments yourself and practice. We don't want to leave you after Saturday, Sunday. During the weekdays also, we want to give you some assignments so you could practice. Um, right, so that is another bonus with that course. Okay, so there
So
is a lot.
do
Mhm.
uh, do
Go ahead.
we are connected with at least virtually online? So while doing practicing something, so is there any way to ask you questions or something?
You can ask in the class itself, right? Even during the practice, let's say you have a question on Wednesday. Okay, so you can ping me in the group. You can ping me in the group, or you can even chat about it in the next class. During the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we can collaborate if it can wait. Otherwise, you can ping in the group. Hey, we are going to have a dedicated WhatsApp group for this, for the attendees who are going with this course. There you can ping with the screenshot or with the message, whatever error message you are getting, whatever pain point you are seeing. Then we will be able to respond and we will be able to address that um, in the group itself. So the group is going to be the channel for communicating all of these things. Okay. And in case
Yep,
if
sure.
multiple people are facing the issue, we can quickly connect through a session, and maybe you could screen share, and one of you could screen share and go through, and we'll go through it together. Okay, if it is only for one associate, I recommend sending the messages in the group. If it is for multiple associates, we can schedule a conversation and we'll go through it. Okay, cool. So any last minute questions, guys, before we wrap this up? I'll wait for another 10 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds. If any one of you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And you are going to have the recordings with you, the course recordings with you. We are going to share that on a daily basis. Like let's say if you might have already seen yesterday's recording has been uploaded today, right? So similarly, by next day you are going to have those. You are going to have the access to the recordings as well. So in case if you have follow-up questions, you can definitely ask. That is also another option that you have. Okay, guys. With that, I would like to call it off for the day. Wishing you all a great success in this role. In case if we don't chat again, but I really want all of you to be available in this course and um, go through this once again. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining this today, and happy Sunday. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.